Okay, let's do this. Spider-Man No Way Home, plot predictions. As you can see, I've got a little timeline here. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I'm going to try and assemble all these scenes from the trailer into a narrative plot of some kind. So we're going to open the movie picking up immediately from where Far From Home ended. Peter and MJ swinging through New York when it's revealed to the world that Peter is Spider-Man and allegedly killed Mysterio. Why Nick Fury or the Skrulls or Jimmy Woo or literally any member of the Avengers don't just vouch for Peter, I have no idea. Anyway, cops come, taking Peter. It's at night. You can see police lights in the background. You can see Peter's wearing pajamas. Pete gets questioned. Aunt May gets questioned. Ned gets questioned. And presumably, Happy is being arrested here, though not sure why he'd be on the run. Given the position he's in, but it seems like the SWAT team have to bring him in. Interesting. It's interesting that Peter's being shown the evidence in this scene, or at least all the kind of paperwork they have against him. They're giving him a hard time, but then he's allowed back to school, which doesn't really seem like something they would allow a murderer to do, especially a prime suspect. At school, we can see everyone knows, so I guess to get away from it all, Peter and MJ hang out on the roof. She's reading the newspaper, and if we zoom in, on the front page it reads Peter Parker and his minions, and it depicts Peter using two people as puppets on strings. Looks like one of them is Happy. Not sure who the other could be. Possibly Mysterio or Aunt May. Or maybe Tony Stark. Who knows? It's getting a little bit too much for Peter. He's looking very upset here in the cafeteria, diner type place. So he heads to Doctor Strange to fix things. And against Wong's warning, Strange agrees to help, which I find a little odd. Especially after the events in Infinity War and Endgame, that Strange would willingly mess with reality like this. Makes me wonder if he has any knowledge of the TVA or the Sacred Timeline. So they do the spell, and it goes wrong. Now, I'm not sure if the intention of the spell here is to just wipe people's memories of Peter's identity, or if Strange is instead trying to find an alternative reality where Peter's identity is still a secret. Either way, when it all goes wrong, I believe they fall through into a new dimension. In the multiverse, you can kind of see the ground breaks away beneath their feet here. Kind of looks like Strange actually does fall. Now we have all these scenes of Peter being chased by Strange, and specifically them fighting over whatever this box is. Maybe it's some sort of device that could reset the timeline or reset the reality. Who knows at this point? The simple explanation would be that Strange wants to reset the mess that they've made, but Peter doesn't. To quote Doctor Strange in the trailer, he says the problem is you trying to live two different lives. The longer you do it, the more dangerous it becomes. This certainly implies that Peter is at fault by wanting the world to forget about his secret identity, and would definitely make for a nice story arc for Peter if by the end of the movie he comes to accept that the world knows who he is, and of course to return to his reality from this second reality that they've entered. Hence the title, No Way Home, because they're trapped in this new reality. And let's not forget that this is a multiverse film, and that this Doctor Strange that we see chasing Peter might not be the same Doctor Strange, which could explain why it looks like he's trying to kill him. Now, the third act is tripping me up the most. It's very confusing. Peter is on his way somewhere that requires him to wear a suit. Could he be on his way to court? Would he still be going to court if he was in a multiverse? Maybe they fixed the multiverse by this point, and he's just got to get back in time to get to court. Or he'll be guilty, maybe. So like he has to show up by a certain point. So he has to make sure he gets back to his world in time.
Also, Peter is wearing the same suit here in this scene with what looks like the lizard.
And then we see MJ's mum is in the car. The actress playing her kind of confirmed that she was playing MJ's mum. Maybe Peter thought that MJ was with her. Then he gets there, realizes MJ is not in the car, But oh no, Doc Ock and Green Goblin are now here. And for some reason, Peter's now in the Iron Spider costume, not in his black and red spider costume that he was in earlier. What's interesting, though, is why would Doc Ock and Green Goblin be trying to kill Peter? Especially because this version of Peter Parker is not their version of Peter Parker, right? So he's a new version to them, and they're immediately wanting to kill him. So it'll be interesting to know what their motives are, why they're trying to stop him getting to wherever he needs to be in a suit, and maybe if they're working for someone else. Is there someone else pulling the strings? Someone else giving them the order to kill Peter? Or do they just hate every single Spider-Man ever in this reality and immediately have to kill him? Also remember, again, it's the multiverse. This is how we explain why Doc Ock is alive again, Green Goblin is alive again, Electro is alive again. All these characters died in their respective movies, but they're all alive in this one. And they're younger as well, which is interesting. They've de-aged Alfred Molina. And although that would make for a great final battle, though it also doesn't mean that Doc Ock is a villain. It only implies that he's a villain in this trailer. He might not be the villain. I don't think they would have wasted this big reveal in the trailer, and they're instead choosing not to show us Electro, and potentially, looking at these dust clouds, Sandman, who in this shot, though, it looks like he might be defending Peter. It looks like he's actually reaching out his hand to block one of Electro's attacks. I'm not super crazy on a big CGI finale like this, but we kind of come to expect it from these films now. Also, Peter's wearing a new suit in these scenes, presumably given to him by Strange. I presume it's got magical abilities too. I wouldn't be surprised if Strange is absent from most of the third act. I think he'll give Peter the new suit, but then bounce to go and investigate the multiverse himself, which will set up his next movie, and maybe even a Wanda cameo, or some sort of Wanda Easter egg. Yeah, so that's it. I don't really see an ending in the scenes they released, but with all the multiverse stories coming out over the next few movies, I doubt Peter or Doctor Strange will resolve anything by the end of this film. And it's definitely just going to set up more of what Loki started to hint at and WandaVision, and progress into Ant-Man 3 and whatever else is in store with the multiverse. So yeah, that's it for now, guys. I think they'll probably release another trailer closer to this movie's release in December, because usually these big superhero films have at least 2 major trailers and then a bunch of like short teaser trailers as well. So I'm sure we'll get more footage in those. But for now, you can see the timeline. This is how I'm predicting it's going to go down. And we will see in December, I guess.